Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. I want to talk today about Bitcoin and kind of the overall health of the cryptocurrency market. It seems that we may have turned a bit of a tide in the markets. I think we've actually matured a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what I think that means. And I'm going to tell you what I think is in store for Bitcoin and what are signs to look out for, okay? These aren't necessarily dire predictions, but these are just things that I've noticed and have experienced in the past. And if you go back and watch my Bitcoin 3000 video, that actually chronicles the run from 5,000 down to 3,000. This is going to be similar to that with a few more possibilities. That one was basically, hey, we're going to 3,000. You better watch your accounts. So Bitcoin right now, we've rallied up to 20,000. And you know what I find very interesting with Bitcoin? This is what I find very interesting with Bitcoin is that we have obviously multiple exchanges. We have Coinbase, and I have a few of them on here. That's why I have 4 Bitcoins up here. Because number one, I have Bitstamp, because this gives me information going all the way back to basically 2011. I have Bitfinex, because this is the largest by volume Bitcoin exchange, okay? I have Coinbase, because that's GDAX, and that's where I keep my funds. And then I have Bittrex for some unknown reason. But one thing that you're going to notice that I think is fairly interesting is that on the GDAX we had this big spike up right up to 20,000. I think its high was basically 19,700. 300 away. I'm going to call that 20,000. And all these other exchanges came up to 20,000. All these other exchanges, they never had the spike initially, but they all came up basically towards right at 20,000. So I find that kind of funny that GDAX kind of foretold where we were going to go in Bitcoin. I do find that quite interesting. So maybe look for some themes like that to the future. Coinbase is really making itself. Sorry guys, going on a little bit of a tangent here, but this may be interesting. If you didn't see the news maybe a month or so ago, Coinbase said that they were going to cater to institutional investors. Okay, so you may see the moves in Coinbase be a little bit more telling or prevalent. Prevalent's not the right word, but it may start and end moves a little bit sooner than some of these other exchanges. Even though Bitfinex has the most volume globally, that means there's a lot more retail traders in Bitfinex. Where in Coinbase they're trying to cater to U.S. institutions. So. And there's a few things that could be good and bad about that, but in this particular case, it kind of foretold, hey, we were going to 20,000, even while everything else was at 17,000. But anyways, that's the end of that rant. If you guys have noticed, I have kind of an unfinished head and shoulders pattern on my Coinbase chart. I'm not sure if I have it anywhere else. It looks like I've written it on the Bitfinex chart. So Bitcoin is putting in a head and a shoulders. There was an argument that this area right here could be a shoulder, although it's not exactly technically correct. So at this point in time, I would maybe expect another rally in Bitcoin back up to this 18,000 level. That would put a really good head and shoulders into Bitcoin and would really give us an area to go down from. Now, if this occurs, we're going to end up with a neckline kind of like this. If you want to, you can, do something like this. Although technically, you really want to capture the peaks of both. So here's a shoulder, here's a head, here's a shoulder. You want to catch in between each head and shoulder. And so this would be your low. If this doesn't come up, then your low is going to be basically like right there. Okay, it's basically like a horizontal trend line sitting at $15,765 and change, and we're just beneath that. We're about $75 beneath that right now. So if this doesn't rally up, this particular head and shoulders pattern may continue to the downside. And where's that going to lead us to? Well, just easy math tells you 20 and 15 takes us down another 5. If you don't know how to infer a head and shoulders target, what you do is you take the very top of the head, and then you take the neckline. That's what this line is called. It's called the neckline. And then you move that over down to where the neckline is broken. Okay, now sometimes these necklines slope up, sometimes they slope down, so the target can change, and that's why you want to move it over. This particular one, as it sits right now, is more of a horizontal trend line, but that takes us all the way back down here to Look at that, this previous high over here. And that's really funny because this is the prior, this is the very first parabolic run in Bitcoin right here to this 11,500 mark. If you remember, we had the huge candle day, we had the huge volume, and this is even a 2-hour. If I go to the daily chart, it's going to be much more pronounced. Look at all my lines. So here's the 11,500 right there, and if you notice, here's that line I drew. Here's that line I drew. It comes right back down to that line, and we've seen this time and time again in Bitcoin, right? If you're new to Bitcoin, bear with me. This is going to be good information for you. So we ran up to 5,000. We came back and pulled all the way back to 3,000. I have a video on that. That call hit perfectly, and right back to the old high of 3,000. Look at that. And that's a pretty steep sell-off. Both of these sell-offs were about 40%. Okay, 39, 40% there, and even this sell-off was 40%. And if you notice, this came back to a prior consolidation level as well. So it would be perfectly natural for Bitcoin to pull back to this level. Now let's see what kind of a pullback this would be. Now look at that, 42%. So, you know, pretty much right in line with previous Bitcoin pullbacks. I think we could definitely get back down to this 11,000 level. And that would be a really good place. Like if we start tanking, and we've obviously taken out, and this is, all right, this is going to be, you know, part 2 of this video here. We have these, we've been on a big parabolic run in Bitcoin, right? Let me zoom out here. This is a big parabolic run where we just go vertical in the charts. And it looks like there's no end in sight, but you know, everything comes to an end in time. And we seem to have topped out so far at 20,000. So if we come back down, and as we come back down, we're going to break through these trend lines. Now, when I zoom out, what you're going to notice, let me get, I'll get rid of this real quick. Sorry, guys. This is a chartist in action right here. So this is called Real Crypto for a reason, guys. As you move up in a parabolic move, what you see is you see a series of trend lines. You basically pick the bottoms here. So this bottom, here we go. Let's give you guys a little bit better perspective. So this kind of long term from this overall low here coming out right here. Then we have this low to the next low, and then we have actually, I don't know how this line is drawn strangely. We have this low combined with this low to give us this specific trend line. All right. And then we have this low continued with the next low, which is this low. And you continue with this exercise until you end up with a crazy parabolic run. Now, we've already broken through this very last trend line, okay? So that's your first indication that this parabolic move has ended. Now, your next indication would be a break of this next trend line, this next inclining trend line. That would be, sorry guys, this chart's pretty sloppy, but you kind of have to have all this information to get the full picture. I'm trying to make it easy for you guys to see this. Okay, so we have this inclining trend line that was broken here. We have this inclining trend line that is next, and it can be support or it can be broken. Now, if we are going to come down and hit here, we are definitely going to break this trend line. And then at that point, one of two things is going to happen. We're going to bounce off of this horizontal support, and then maybe the move is over with and we continue upward like we saw at the 3,000 or 5,000 to 3,000 run. Or if that fails, then we're in for a bear market in Bitcoin. If that fails, then the trend of overall runs and pullbacks, runs and pullbacks, runs and pullbacks will be complete, and then we're going to go lower, and then we're going to have to find support at this trend line, which peaks down at this, what is this? This is the 3,000, the 3,000 low, and the low at 5,500. So we have a couple potential areas, for bounces. And those are good things, right? So we know areas that Bitcoin can go down to. I don't want anyone to be scared. This is normal action in Bitcoin. Anything that's had a big parabolic run is going to have a big washout. And if this is indeed a parabolic run, a head and shoulders is actually quite unordinary for a parabolic run. They usually come up and crap right back down pretty instantaneously. So just the fact that this didn't do that this is taking its time and selling off, does indicate that maybe we are in due for one of these 40% pullbacks where we come back to this 11.5 level. and then maybe we bounce off from there. So, you know, if we come lower, I definitely would have some orders set beneath 12,000. Okay, the market may get a little bit. It may not bounce all the way down to here. It doesn't have to. Just because this Head and Shoulders infers a target doesn't mean it has to occur. All right, 12,000 is a pretty big round number. So maybe we bounce off at the 12,000. So maybe put some buys in at 12,100, maybe some buys at 12, some buys at 11,9, you know, so on and so forth. Definitely set some alerts if we're going to get down here. You want to be trading this low, because when these things spike low, they spike very fast and usually have only a couple of hours. Let's see if we can dive down here to the 2-hour chart. See if we can get some of these prior lows here. So here's let's go to Bitcoin 3000. So here's the Bitcoin 3000 low, okay? And if you notice, I'm going to zoom in here. All right, so if you notice during this big sell-off, during the very last sell-off, right, big volume comes in, sells us down, volume remains really high here, and this is very scary action. And one thing to notice here is that we have higher volume with price action here that is not falling in tune with, say, this bar or even this bar. Actually, the price is going down at a less percentage clip than the previous bars, even though volume is increasing, indicating a bottom. And then the next candle, we have this huge green candle, and that is the biggest of the run. But look at that. You went from $3,000 to $3,400 in 2 hours. So you only have a couple of hours to buy these lows. So if this is going to spike down to 11.5, you need to be involved, and you need to be have your alerts set. Stay up all night. I don't care what you need to do, but if you want to trade this like a boss, you want to make all that money that everybody wants to make. That's pretty much what has to happen. So let's look at this Bitcoin spike down here to the 5,400 level. Now this was a smaller pullback. I think this was a 30% pullback. Yeah, this was the 30% pullback. But this one had something similar, right? This one had something similar. And it did test the low again, so you're lucky you kind of got in. But this first bounce was a little scary to get in on if you didn't understand volume analysis, because this big volume indicates that this is a low. So, but again, these are 2-hour bars, and we have a big spike low. So what happened is, if you know how to read the candlesticks, on a green candle, the bottom is the open, the top is the close. On a red candle, the top is the open, the bottom is the close. So we opened here, came all the way down here, and spiked all the way back up here within the course of 2 hours. So you really have these small windows available to you when Bitcoin gets down to these extreme levels, and you either have to have your stop alerts set, you have to have your stop orders set, or you have to be awake. You have to be awake. And crypto's a 24/7 job, guys. So, it could be what it is. But to another point, something else that could happen is there's a case for Bitcoin 10,000, which is a little bit lower, not by much. But if we get the shoulder up here and we end up riding this shoulder like this, you can actually move this down here and you get down towards 10,000. Okay, so there's Bitcoin 10,000 if this is our neck level. Now, which one is it? It's really hard to say. This isn't an exact science. It's more of an art. I will just say I really don't like these declining trend lines in a head and shoulders pattern, because it just makes the target very low, especially the further out you go, because you have to. It's a sliding scale, right? So now we're down to 93 if we break over there. But odds are, if it pops back up, it's probably going to break something like this and take us right down to 10. So there's a case for 11.5, there's a case for 10,000, but either way you want to be involved. And sorry guys, I know this is a long video, but I thought all that was important information. But the other thing I wanted to discuss was that even though Bitcoin's pulling back, I want you to notice something different in cryptocurrencies. We still have coins that are rallying. This hasn't happened in quite some time in cryptocurrency. I don't know if it ever has. Only during certain market times. But we have XRP still up 40%. We have Salt up 16%. We have Lisk up 25%. Stratus up 12%. We have many coins up double digits, which is very uncommon during a Bitcoin sell-off. Now I know we've bounced here a little bit, which has caused more rallies than normal. But even when we were selling off, you still had quite a few altcoins that weren't selling off, and so that's a bit of a change in behavior for the overall market. And if that remains the case, then we're in a much, much healthier market in cryptocurrencies. That means we're growing up a little bit, and that's good in the sense that we don't have to be scared of Bitcoin correcting, because usually when Bitcoin corrects, if you're new to the markets, when Bitcoin corrects, all the altcoins dump. They all sell off. I don't exactly know why. I do get that when Bitcoin rallies, all the alts sell off because a lot of the alts trade in Bitcoin. So you have to, sell the alts to buy the Bitcoin if you want to get in on the Bitcoin rally. But if Bitcoin's selling off, I don't understand why the alts dump. I really don't understand that correlation. Technically, when you think about it in those terms, if Bitcoin sells off, the alts should go up because they're moving their money into safe havens. But maybe with the advent of Tether and just being able to trade in your native fiat currency, maybe people just move into that as a safe haven. Anyway, I just wanted to point out that correlation that lack of correlation that is new to the cryptocurrency market. So if this goes ahead and continues, that's really good for the altcoin market. You're going to find excellent deals in altcoins when Bitcoin crashes. You're going to want to pay attention to the ones that don't fall because those are the ones that are going to have the most support. So, all right, guys, there you go. Thanks for watching the video. I know it's been a long one. I apologize for that, but all that's really good information. At least I think it is. That's why I posted it. So leave a comment if you want to. Ask some questions. I'll be happy to talk to you guys. Subscribe if you like the channel. Check out my website, real-crypto.com, in the description. My donations are down there as well as a link to Coinigy, which is my go-to alert system. So, all right, guys, I'll see you later. Have a good one.